Before we start talking about this entire black-pilled section, sorry, it's not going to get any more fucking positive from here on out. This is why, I never thought that I'd be anticipating leaving this country, but there's no hope, at least for the next couple of decades, because it's going to be a long time before Trudeau eventually just retires and we get a new prime minister. And then the rebuilding effort is going to take forever. And you can see right here, even after that horrific budget, and we went over a big chunk of it because a lot of that infrastructure that was a part of that, was just more social programs in order to continue to indoctrinate the youth. And again, liberals 38%, conservatives next closest at 27%. Fucking Aaron O'Toole couldn't get elected to a PTA meeting, let alone be prime minister. And that's the guy who was apparently the sharpest tool in the entire drawer, because Andrew Scheer, who always looked like he drove a panel van to Parliament, he always had this little creepy pederific smile on his face, an expression that gave the Jared Leto interpretation of the Joker a run for its money. Ended up being as corrupt as everybody kind of anticipated him to be. And it's just fucking depressing. So if I ever say that there's no hope for Canada, I'll just, this is a brand new fucking study. It came out yesterday, so brand new poll. And guess what? You know, all of those quarantine hotels that everybody's from across the world is going like, why is Canada doing that? Why are they making people pay for it? Good. The Justice Center, they sued the country, and the court agreed with them, but they wouldn't give them the emergency injunction. They're just going to have to wait for trial in June. So if you go on travel, you're still going to have to come back, and you're still going to have to self-quarantine at a very pricey hotel for 2 weeks, 10 days. What's the difference? And this is just going to continue indefinitely, because there was supposed to be a set time period that this would be in place, but it's always just some nebulous idea. It's never anything grounded in reality. It's just like most local mask mandates. I can speak to at least Alberta. It's like, okay, if your district, your area, your city limits doesn't produce a positive COVID test date within, I think it's, at least in Grand Prairie, it's 14 or 17 days, then we'll remove the mask mandate. That is unattainable levels right now until people have enough and stop wearing them. But there's enough sheep, I don't like to use that pejorative, but it's the best one that applies, bitchy feminists and simps out there that will just continue to do it because that's what the science tells them, and they need to be safe all the time. And that's what leads us to fucking ridiculous decisions like this. Just the Center for Constitutional Freedoms, like we have a fucking constitution left, announced yesterday that a federal court has released a decision on its efforts to seek an interim injunction against the controversial federal quarantine hotel facilities, although presiding Justice William Pentney, who was appointed by the Justin Trudeau government not that long ago, did not grant the JCCF the interim injunction it was seeking. Result does not mean the end for the legal challenges, even though it's not really a very good indication, against the quarantine policy, arguing on behalf of 9 clients who have been detained in the facilities. How many of those have been sexually assaulted as well? The JCCF was seeking to use the judiciary to bring an immediate halt to the mandatory quarantine of travelers arriving to Canada by air travel. But land, you can't get COVID in a car, then why do you keep wearing your masks when you're all by yourself? Oh my God. Food for thought. The JCCF argued that these rules put them in danger and were a violation of their clients' charter rights, like that matters to the Liberal government, adding that these law-abiding individuals could have safely quarantined at home. Yep, it doesn't matter, because you got to fly into Canada now. I think it's in Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. Those are the only places you're allowed back into Canada, and then you got to go to these fucking COVID-infested hellholes for fucking better parts of 2 weeks. This is infuriating, but we're just getting ramped up. The suggestion that these individuals could have safely quarantined at home, Justice Pentney said, did not take into account the 1 or 2% of air travelers who had a negative COVID-19 test prior to their departure who nevertheless tested positive upon arrival to Canada. Ooh. So now we're ruling, and we're getting ruling from judges based on what happens with 1 or 2% of the population. Fuck this gay earth. the risk of importing one or two transmissible and more dangerous COVID-19 variants. Oh, this guy is, we got a big brain right here. He's talking about COVID variants, which we went over not that long ago, are not that big of variations. Very little difference. Based on the evidence before me with my predetermined determination ruling. That's what I was looking for. I could conclude that it would not be just or equitable to suspend the operation of this challenged quarantine measure pending the determination of the merits of the applicant's charter claim. Now make sure you're standing back 6 feet, bigot. I look forward to this lawsuit just inevitably being tossed out and disregarded because we'll be a full-blown police state by June. That's cool. And trying to talk out, who fucking knows, because you might not even be hearing from me in the near future because the Trudeau liberals want to regulate YouTube, all under the guidance of keeping you safe, of course. The Trudeau government is set to regulate YouTube after a liberal-led Commons Heritage Committee voted to implement federal law. This is part of the government's overall mission to regulate and tax American giants while protecting Canadians online. Protecting Canadians online because what? My monitor's never produced a fist that has actually hit me in the face before. It has never tried to strangle me with my microphone cable. The mouse has never flown off and tried to hit me. I don't know what kind of protecting I need. Company, not individual YouTubers, will have to comply with the regulation, although it will certainly affect them. Yes, and the ability of what to put out there. So I don't know. I don't really know. That's the biggest problem. Because the way that this asshole wants to go, somebody who we've talked about extensively, Steven Guise, he doesn't want any criticism of anybody. Not the government, not marginalized people who need protection. The only thing you'll be able to shit on is straight white men. That's just how it's going. That's just how it is. The Trudeau government wants to force Netflix and YouTube to contribute significantly to the creation and presentation of Canadian programming. The right Canadian programming, not right Canadian programming. That's very rare in and of itself, especially on Netflix and on YouTube. Come on, I don't know how many tranny makeup channels there are that emanate from Ontario or from the far reaches of backwoods Saskatchewan. I'm not too sure, but I know political and social and media commentary. Oh no, that's no, that won't be getting pushed. Don't worry about it. Gibault will introduce this internet control bill to Parliament within the next couple of weeks, he revealed during a video conference. It's funny, right? He introduces all these regulations via the medium he's trying to regulate. You know, you'd like to crack a joke at these people, but they are just so ridiculous that satire, the best way to play it is just being the straight man and just telling them that. Because where's our fucking tax money going now? Okay, they're going to regulate online streaming video, of all forms and fashion, and eventually social media will get there, so it's just a white background with some non-offensive white text, and then on the platforms that they already have control of, that they've already wokeified to a horrifying extent, they'll just be able to shit on you from above and tell you that it's rain. Because the CBC, artificial state broadcaster, something nobody watches. They're originally scrolling through, and I'm going to be an old man for a minute. I'm going through channel 2, you got CTV, you got Global on 3, then you got CBC on 4. Oh, hurry up and get over that and just be more entertained by the channel guide on 5. All the way up until, 23 I think was YTV, and then 25 was Spike. Back in the good old days, back before all of this shit was just boiling under the surface at the universities. Somebody should have cut it off then. Boy, if I had a DeLorean, boy, would this be such a different world. But this is what the CBC's doing. Something that's already getting worse ratings than the Oscars. Features author who writes about blowing up and gassing white people during a race war. This is what the Liberal government is doing with your tax money. CBC invited an author who wrote about detonating white people. What does he think, that we're all explosive? That instead of organs, we just have, fucking C4? While the exits are locked and the air vents are filled with gas. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize that they invited Adolf Hitler to come and speak. CBC host then explained that she was Jewish, so that somehow makes it better, but apologized to the author that his experience of the world made him feel this way. Statements like that just, kind of hit you like a Mack truck, right? But that'd be dangerous if I get hit by a Mack truck, because I'd apparently explode. Under what context is that acceptable language, okay? I don't care that he wrote that, but he's on the platform that if anybody else who didn't look like Ben Philippe does would be thrown into either the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean, whichever one they could drag you from your home farther from. And just also do something as simple as invert the white people to, I don't know, take your pick. If it's a racist statement to do such, it's always been a racist statement. I don't care that he said it. Just say something stupid like that, and then you have a broad host who says, oh, I'm Jewish. The whole gas chamber thing's a little throwing me off, and why would you say you want to detonate white people? I don't get it, but that's all right. I'm sorry that the world has made you feel that way. There is no possible explanation where this is okay. These are the ramblings of a psychopath. This is the stuff that you would expect in the manifesto from the Columbine shooters. But no, here's some tax money, because the CBC is woke trash, like the rest of Canada. But don't worry, the rest of our tax money is going to be spent on infrastructure, like we talked about not that long ago. It's going to be going, all $101.4 billion of it is going to be going out there, and it's going to be making a difference, and they've got a plan, and you know what that plan is? They're going to do better. Easterners elected children. Absolute children. That is something you'd expect from a fourth grader. Came back with their report card and it's full of C's and D's and F's. They'll do better. This is not something that you get from the fucking infrastructure minister. We need to fix this. What are you going to do? Better. You are an idiot. But that's all right. She's only there because she's a diversity hire. Remember, in 2015, Justin Trudeau, when asked, why is there 50% women and 50% men in your cabinet? Why is it only that proper equality that you so strive for on a daily basis, unless one of those equality hires wants to speak out against you because you're not quite living up to your own self-imposed standard? Then you can get the fuck out. Former Justice Minister and Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould specifically. No, instead of looking that, and I think at the time in 2015, the proper allocation of people in the Liberal Party was 80% men and 10% female. Or, sorry, 20% female. I forget the numbers exactly. So it would have been more appropriate to go that way. But no, his justification, just like Catherine McKenna, I could give a fuck what their names are, because they're just all interchangeable ideologues that just come up to the podium, spout the exact same shit. Safety, diversity is our strength, equity. What he said in 2015 was because it was 2015. Not that any of these people are qualified for the positions, but because it's 2015. And eventually you just keep going down that rabbit hole. Okay, it starts at sex. You need perfect equity there. You need 50% men and 50% female. Okay, but what about gender? Oh, we're going to start working on that. Okay, then sexuality eventually. Oh, okay. And then how do you perfectly bifurcate the rest of that stuff when it starts going down that staircase of insanity? It eventually gets to a point where you just tick the right box, get the job. It's not about competence anymore, because it clearly isn't, even at this spot right now. Infrastructure minister saying, we're going to do better. Criticism of a sandcastle that fell over at high tide. Do better. But then, of course, we got this. Canadians are getting vaccine passports. Don't worry, they're just starting with international travel. Nothing to worry about, of course. And that this comes straight from the horse's ass. Certificates of vaccination to be expected for travel, Trudeau says. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said his government was looking very, very carefully. They don't do anything very, very carefully at the issue of getting back to normal. How about you just flick the lights on? Worked for Texas. It's working for Florida, Arkansas, South Dakota. All of these places that have just gone back to normal seem to be doing a good job. But no, he's being very, very careful about giving up any of his power. Trudeau made the comment on Tuesday after being asked about certificates of vaccination. Don't worry, no vaccine passports. You're just going to get certificates of vaccination. Perfectly emblematic, okay, because as much anger as that term generates just in the deepest parts of my gut, it rolls off the tongue. Vaccine passports. It sounds good, it's concise. But no, leave it up to the Trudeau government to complicate something that's already a vernacular out there. He's going to try to dress up a pig and present it as a beauty queen. He's trying to slap a penis on a Victoria's Secret model and tell you that she's stunning and brave. Trying to put a wig on a decathlete and tell her that it's going to be your next governor of California. No, they're certificates of vaccination. Obviously, as was the case pre-pandemic, certificates of vaccination are part of international travel to certain regions where they actually have dangerous diseases like malaria, not a sleepy head cold, and are naturally to be expected when it comes to this pandemic and the coronavirus, because it stopped being about the virus a long fucking time ago. It's all about your pandemic. And I would love to get into more of that, but this video's already going long, and my blood pressure can only get so high before this becomes a snuff film. So yeah, you want to institute vaccine passports for international travel? Don't worry, because the next time that I cross that border, I'm not coming back. Fuck this hellhole that has become Canada, a place that I've called home for 31 years. I cannot wait to leave because it has become total ideological garbage run by pseudo-communists that are just too afraid to show the hammer and sickle that they all have tattooed on their ass. You will find no hope up here in Canada. It's just a matter of time before they come for your stuff. Because remember, it's just a certificate of vaccination, because many countries around the world need it in order for you to travel. It starts out as countries, and then it works its way to provinces, and then it works its way to cities, and then it works its way to going into separate stores when you're going to have to produce your papers to just go anywhere else. Fuck them all. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.